Finovate showcases cutting-edge banking and financial technology through a global conference series featuring short-form demos and thought leadership. Now, the conversation continues on the Finovate podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Finovate podcast. We have a very special guest joining me today. Before we get to him, though, I want to take a moment and quickly talk about Finovate Focus. If you haven't heard about this, we are launching a new web series called Finovate Focus, short, informative events that only take a couple of hours out of your day. The first Finovate Focus will center around customer experience. Obviously, that covers a lot of ground, all the different aspects that make up a customer's experience. And today, we're going to talk about somebody who is brand new to banking, having their very first ever customer experience at a financial institution. That is my son, Graham Palmer, 7 years old. We'll get him on in just a moment. Before we start his interview, I want to just quickly say a couple of caveats. I didn't coach him on any of his responses. This is all honest. I also didn't tell him it was time to get a bank account. This is something he came to me and said, I really want to have one. Of course, I'm sure he was influenced. He's heard me at home over the course of the pandemic. All the conversations that I've been having, it's not a surprise to hear that he's thinking about banking and finance at least a little bit. So let's go now to the first part of the interview with Grant. We've got it divided into one segment that we recorded just before we actually went and got him his account. And then we have another segment after we went and opened the account. So let's get started with that first segment right now. Joining me today on the show, a very special guest. We have Graham Palmer from Parkwood Elementary, a second grader at Parkwood. Graham, thanks for coming on the show. So tomorrow is kind of a big day. What are you going to do tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow I'm going to get my very first bank account.
Now, you came to me and said you wanted to have a bank account. Why did you want to get a bank account? What made you want one?
Because I think soon I might get too much money and I want to have a place to store it.
You want a place to store your money? Okay. Yeah. What was the other thing that you were kind of excited about getting?
I was also excited about getting the bank account because I wanted to have a place to store my money, and once you said I could share my money with help endangered species in the World Wildlife Federation, I thought that would be pretty fun to help because one of my favorite animals is endangered and I want to help it survive and get more. It's the red panda.
Yeah, no, red pandas are really special and absolutely adorable. Anybody who's listening should follow Carson the Panda from the Seattle Zoo. Absolutely.
Woodland
Great
Park.
Follow on Instagram. Yeah, Woodland Park Zoo. You wanted to be able to save money to donate it to another cause, right? So you've been pretty good at saving your money so far. How much money do you have right now?
Right now I have about $23.
Okay, and are you saving up for anything right now?
No, not right now. Maybe I'll want some candy sometime soon.
You want some candy? Sure. Got to have money for candy just in case. So I think the other thing we talked about with bank accounts, there were going to be 3 different accounts that we were talking about. Do you remember? There was one for saving, one for giving, like World Wildlife Federation. What was the third one for?
I don't remember.
That one was spend. Do you remember what spend comes with?
Yeah, a debit card or credit card.
Yeah, that's right. What do you do with a debit card?
So I bet you guys have seen at the store where you buy food the little box where it says you can either swipe your credit card or insert it into the little spot. Well, that goes to your actual bank account.
That's right. Do you think having a credit card or a debit card is better than just having cash in a wallet?
Yeah, because I think I might get confused and I might accidentally pay them a little too less or too much. But a debit card makes sure it gets the exactly right amount, the same amount of cents, exact same amount of dollars.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, there's no chance it goes wrong, right? You know, the debit card just goes boop and takes out the same amount of money. What do you like to spend your money on in general? I mean, candy is one. Candy from the store. What other kind of stuff do you like to buy?
And I also like Lego sets.
Right? Where do you get a Lego set from?
Fred Meyer. They have a lot of cool Lego sets. And I actually picked out one for my little brother Lachlan, who's 3, for Christmas.
That's true. Yeah, he loved it. He still plays with that thing. You picked a really good one for him. That was awesome. Okay, do you ever buy anything off of a computer?
Yeah, I've done some Lego sets. I've on my favorite TV show, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I heard that you've been talking about it a little bit in the past.
I have talked about it actually on the show. That's true.
Yeah, and so I've got a book about it, and my dad says however much I want for a book, he'll spend half the money because it's a book.
That's right. Yeah, if you're getting a book, I'll buy half. Because that's just fair. Books are good for you. And actually, I have to say, I've read the new Avatar comic book, The Promise. It's pretty good.
I know.
It's pretty good. Okay, so tomorrow, we're going to go to open up a bank account. We're going to get 3 different pieces, a save, a give, and a spend category. We're going to link up with World Wildlife Federation and start giving some of that give money towards the World Wildlife Federation.
I'll start by giving them $5.
Give them $5. I mean, it's a great place to start. I think that's awesome. So, and we'll see, make sure that everybody else knows red pandas are excellent. We'll check back in tomorrow after we go to the bank. We're going to open it up. We're going to see how this all works, and we'll let you all know how it goes. Graham, any last thoughts for now?
Nope, but I hope you enjoy hearing this, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, a quick interjection before we get to the second half. We'll talk through what actually happened when we got to the bank in just a moment, but a couple things that I wanted to highlight right away, and these are things which I think we already probably know, but did you hear some of the pieces that he was talking about? One of the first things he said about why he wanted to have a bank account was he's interested in helping. He wants to find a way to donate. This lines up with what we are seeing across the board. We know that people, especially younger people, want to make their finances do something good in the world. He obviously has that impetus as well, which of course I'm very proud of as a parent, but I don't think it's that unique. The other piece I want to highlight around his desire to get a bank account, he was worried about having the exact amount of money during his transactions. You know, I don't want to give too much money. I don't want to give too little money. I want to kind of automate this process a little bit, take some of the guesswork out of it. Now, I think that's understandable when you're 7 and math is a lot more difficult than it should be for grown-ups. But at the same time, it's fairly universal. We want to kind of eliminate the possibility of being able to make a mistake. Also, did you notice that in his sales transaction, there wasn't a human on the other end of it? It's just a machine that he's talking about. The transaction is 100% in terms of putting a credit card into the slot, inserting payment into the opening. There is no other person on the other end, which I found really fascinating. All right, let's go ahead and get to the second part and hear from him after he's had a chance now to go and open up his account. So, Graham, we just got back from the bank and you opened your first bank account. How did that feel for you? Was that fun?
It was exciting, yeah, really exciting.
What was the fun part about it?
I'm glad because I got to choose my own credit card.
Right.
And it has the Seahawks logo on it.
Sure, yeah, you got to pick. How many options were there for you to choose?
5.
Right, and so you picked Seahawks, good choice.
Yep. The other options were a blank one. Nah.
Yeah, boring.
Yeah, and then we had a Husky and Cougars one.
Yeah, those are for people who aren't
Cougars.
from here. That's UW, University of Washington Huskies, Washington State Cougars.
Yeah.
And then there was a local radio station one too, KEXP.
Yeah, I thought that one was kind of the most boring one.
You know, that was the most boring one. Okay, so you picked Seahawks. So how did the bank look to you? Because this is your first time ever going to a bank. Was it what you thought it was going to look like?
No, not at all.
What did you think it was going to look like?
I thought it was going to have lots of people, and I thought straight away I would get my credit card.
You thought you just walk in and you get a card right away?
Yeah, and then we had just fill in a couple of papers, and then the person at the desk to say, "Oh, now you have your credit card. You have your own bank account."
Okay, so what actually happened though?
It took a little while. I had to say who I was, how old I was, when I was born.
Yeah. And then what happened?
And then he typed it into the computer.
Yeah. Did that part feel like it went fast or slow?
Yeah, pretty slow.
Pretty slow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's mostly boring until I got the credit card.
It was mostly boring until you actually had the card to hold in your hands. And then it got excited. Was it hard to wait?
Yeah, hard to wait. Yeah, it was really hard to wait.
Totally. So what do you think? How do you think they could make it better? What do you think would make it more fun to go in and open an account?
We would say hi, then they would walk to the credit card making machine. First they would say, "What credit card do you want?" when you walk in, and then they would go, and then I'd pick that one, and then they would go to the credit card machine, and then give me your credit card, and then I would have to write my name, and my middle name and last name, and then I would be all good to go.
So you just wanted to hold the card as soon as possible.
Yes.
You wanted to get it in your hands right away.
Yes.
And waiting for it wasn't super fun.
Yes.
Okay, but now you've got it. Now you have it in your hands. And honestly, you used to have to wait for them to mail it to you? Sometimes you would go to a bank and then they would have to mail you the card like a week later. Do you think that would be even worse?
Yeah, I think. Man, when's that credit card going to show up? Day after day after day after day.
Right. Yeah, no, being patient is hard, huh? You want to get it done. You want to just have something straight away. I just want to keep my credit card. Yeah. So now you've got it. How much money do you think you're going to put into your bank? Because you have some cash right now.
I'm going to put in $5 first.
$5 first to just put it into the bank?
Yeah.
Do you remember what the guy at the bank said about interest? Do you remember hearing about that?
No, I don't.
No? That was where if you leave money in your savings account, you get more money. You get paid more money.
Yeah. Like a year, you get $2.
Right, sure. Yeah. So if you put in $100 and leave it there for a year, at the end of that year, they would give you $2 extra. Does that sound like a lot of money to you?
Yeah, so that means if you were at 50, they would give you $1.
True. That's right. That's good math. Yeah. So we'll have to see if we can get enough savings. Because right now, you're not really that close to having $50. But you also can start saving now.
At 23.
Yeah, $23.
Like in the last episode, I told you I'm at 23.
Still at $23. And now you're going to put $5 into a bank account. And do you remember you have 3 different categories now? 3 accounts, right? Do you remember what those are?
Yes, spend, share, and save.
That's right.
The 3 S's.
The 3 S's. That's true. Man, we should patent that. That's a good idea. The 3 S's. Spend, share, and save. So we've got your bank account. Waiting for it was a little bit difficult while we had to sit there. And the guy, I remember you kept wanting to go around the little glass and see what he was typing into the computer. What do you think he was typing in over there?
I don't know.
Because he asked you one question. He said, "What's your name?" And then he typed for a really long time. And then after he had your birth date, he kept typing and clicking. What do you think he was doing?
I think maybe he was typing, and maybe you have to type a little bit, go down, type, go down, type, go down.
Yeah, he said he had to create account numbers for us. But it didn't look like he was creating account numbers, did it? So what was he doing?
I don't know.
I don't know. The machine probably knows.
Yeah.
So what would you tell your friends if they were thinking about opening a bank account? What would you tell them to expect?
I would tell them it might take a while, but it'll be worth the wait once you get your credit card, and you get to choose your credit card.
Right, that's a big deal. You get to choose your credit card. That does make a big difference. So you have to wait a little while. You have to be patient, but ultimately it's worth it in the end.
Yes, it's worth it.
Okay, and what is the first thing you think you're going to buy with your new debit card?
I don't know.
We're going to go to the store. We're going to try it out. We're going to load $5 on there and see how it works.
Yes, see how it works.
Yeah. Cool. Well, this has been your experience with a 7-year-old going to open his very first bank account.
Yep.
And I think you've had a lot of interesting things to say. It sounds like you can tell your friends what to expect. And now you're ready to start saving, start spending, and start sharing a little bit.
Yeah. I am ready. I am ready to go into the future.
All right, there we go. Well, thank you very much, Graham, for joining me on this episode of the Finovate podcast. We'll see how things continue to develop with your foray into the modern financial world. And maybe we'll do an update episode in a couple of months and we see how it's going.
Yeah. Well, this is the end for now, but I'll see you later.
Okay, so I thought that was pretty interesting as well. We recapped some of the pieces from the first conversation. Apologies for those aspects that were redundant, but obviously the messages from the first half stuck in his mind the second time around. A couple things to highlight here. Did you notice how excited he was about picking the card design? And on the flip side, did you catch the meh when he talked about the plain one, the boring one? That wasn't very exciting, but he was really pumped about having the chance to pick his own card design. the other thing that I thought was really interesting, his line, it was mostly boring until I got the card. Sitting there was difficult. He wanted to get the card as soon as possible. Now that's, again, something which speaks to the era in which he is raised. Clearly, half an hour doesn't seem like a long time for us to have to wait to actually get a card into your hands. But every second of that, for a 7-year-old, he felt that. He wanted to get something in his hands as quickly as he could. And so I don't fault him at all for that. And the lesson here, I think, is get something into your customer's hands as soon as possible. This is really one of the crucial aspects. Again, not groundbreaking, but presented here in a way that's really honest and unbiased. The last piece I want to highlight is, did you hear when he was talking about what was happening on the computer screen? We're sitting there and he's like, type, wait, type, wait. What the banker was actually doing, he didn't understand what was happening there. Quite frankly, I didn't understand what was happening there. We have a couple of guesses. And I think that was the most difficult part of the waiting for him, because he didn't know what was really going on. I think the lesson here is make sure your customers understand what you're doing. When you're asking them to wait, tell them why. Give them some information so it helps them to wait. Or maybe, Graham's preference would have just been, get the card into my hand first. Get something into my hand so that while you have to go through this, I have something that I can play with. We are not all 7 years old. We are, theoretically anyway, more patient, more in control than that. But there are a number of lessons here that a 7-year-old can teach us, or at least reinforce. So if you take nothing else away from this episode, take away these big pieces. Get something into your customers' hands as soon as you can. Give them choices. Give them an opportunity to personalize their card, their accounts, whatever the case may be. Waiting is hard. Try and minimize the amount of time customers have to wait. If they do have to wait, tell them what's going on. Tell them why you're making them wait. And of course, understand that people who are approaching a new financial institution are doing so because they're looking for simplicity. They're looking for ease. They want to be able to make their money work for them. They want to be able to donate it. They want to be able to spend it. They don't want to have to worry about, am I giving the right amount of money? They don't want to have to really think about these sides of it. So, none of this is groundbreaking. None of this is completely new, but it's always good to hear from somebody who is outside the bubble. And man, it doesn't get more outside the bubble, I think, than a 7-year-old child. I hope you found this episode interesting. Obviously, slightly self-indulgent on my part, but I hope that it was something worthwhile. And who knows, depending on the response to this, we may hear from Graham again in a little bit as he continues to explore the financial world. That's all for now. Thanks again for tuning in to this episode of the Finovate Podcast.
The Finovate podcast is produced by Informa Connect in association with Provoke.fm Media. Check out Finovate.com for information on Finovate's upcoming shows and to learn how you can get involved. The discount code Finovate Podcast will save you 20% on tickets to all of our events. And you can email us at info@finovate.com for information on sponsoring, speaking, or demoing. Thanks for listening.